Yes, the people. What's happening? Tell me what's happening. By popular demand, we are back with another meal prep video, and this time I am going to cover a couple of simple breakfast ideas that you can prepare en masse and then freeze or refrigerate and eat throughout the week. Calories will be on the screen and also in the video description, along with the measurements I used and the cost. Okay, let's cook some stuff. So first up, we are going with overnight oats. Now, I get the impression that these are more popular in the US because you don't really hear of overnight oats much in the UK, but they are simple, easy, and cheap, so they fit the criteria. So for these, you will need overnight oats, surprise, motherfucking surprise. Some milk. I am using sweetened, I'm using unsweetened almond milk because I don't really drink cow's milk, and also I think it's probably likely to keep better, but you can use whatever you like. I'm using some protein powder, and I am going with vegan protein powder because I came this far, so I might as well just keep shit vegan for this one and give those folks an option. You can obviously omit the protein powder completely if for some reason you don't care about gains. Anyway, I'm also using some chia seeds, and finally some form of toppings to make shit less boring. So I'm going to go with a dried fruit and nut mix because I'm trying to keep shit relatively cheap, but you can do whatever you want, so I will show you some options later. Final thing is some containers. You can use glasses if you have glasses. I assume you have glasses. You can use Tupperware if you have enough of it, or you could just buy some plastic cups, but I am gonna go with these little jars because I live in Manchester and it's like edgy to put stuff in jars these days, so that's a sentence. As for the method, this really is the epitome of simple. I am weighing out some of my oats into equal portions in each of my containers. I'm using 70 grams of oats, but it depends on how big you are, how big your containers are, how big your appetite is. You know, depends on a lot of things. They're multivariant factors. So we're going to pretend that I'm making 7 of these. I'm actually making 6 because I only have 6 jars and my OCD won't allow me to use different containers. I feel like that'd be strange. Anyway, I'm going to mix up some protein powder in my almond milk. Now, in general, you want about a 2-to-1 ratio of milk to oats so you don't get oaty soup, or at the other end of the spectrum, cement. OT cement, not actual cement. Since I'm going to be using 70 grams of oats in each one, that would mean I'd need about 140 ml of milk. However, I'm also using protein powder, so that's going to soak up a bit of the liquid. So I'm going to bump that up just a touch. So I'm going to use a total of 1 litre of almond milk, which is very convenient. And again, obviously you can just adjust these depending on your portion sizes. Don't know why I said portion sizes like a question then. Anyway, finally, I am going super fucking vegan and throwing in 5 grams of Chia, the seed things into each pot and giving it a little stir around with a spoon. And that is actually it. I would recommend putting on your toppings at the time of consumption, because if you put them on now, you're gonna have soggy nuts by the time you eat them, and that's a horrendous phrase that I wish I didn't say, but anyway. So before you freeze these, you need to give them a few hours to let the oats, I'm rolling with this voiceover, to let the oats actually soak up the liquid. Now, from what I've read, these should actually keep for up to about 5 days in the fridge, but I know people get weird about shit like that, so if it makes you feel better, just freeze them and then pull one out each night so it can thaw in time for the following morning. Obviously, leave some room in your jars. I'm going to cover these with cling film to allow for a bit of expansion in the liquid when it freezes. Otherwise, it might expand, smash your glasses, and then you'll just have shards of glass all over your freezer, and it's just not a pleasant breakfast for anyone. So as I say, when you're about to eat them, you can add your toppings. I'm just going to keep this jar of dried fruit and nuts here and sprinkle some of those on, but if you wanted to, you could add some fresh fruit, maybe some berries, maybe a bit of honey, maybe a lot of honey, maybe a honey bukkake, stick a fucking bueno in it for all I care. Anyway, that was high protein vegan overnight oats. Yes, yes. Okay, next up we are going about as non-vegan as it is possible to get. The only thing less vegan would have been if I sacrificed a goat to the spirits beforehand for good fortune in my culinary adventures. Anyway, we're about to make some freezer-friendly bacon and egg muffins. Your ingredient list is pretty simple. You need some English muffins. You also need some eggs. You also need some egg whites. You also need some low-fat bacon or turkey bacon, and finally some light mayo, and that is it. As ever, there are obviously optional extras, however I'm going to stick with this basic version and then you can add whatever you like. So the order in which I'm going to do things is determined by the fact that I don't actually own a toaster, and also my grill and oven are in the same oven, in the same thing, you know. So the first thing I'm doing is putting my turkey bacon under the grill. Obviously you can use actual bacon like pig bacon if you want, but I'm going to go for turkey bacon because it's lower fat. Now the downside of it being so lean is that you really need to keep an eye on it and make sure you don't overcook it, or it's going to get really dry and turn into like turkey jerky before you know it, and that's just not ideal. And yes, I overcooked mine because I was trying to film a YouTube video at the same time and I'm just not that competent. Whilst they are under the grill, I'm going to heat a large pan and start spreading a thin layer of light mayo on each half of the muffins. Once the pan is hot, and it does have to be hot, I'm going to put these muffins in mayo side down. You should hear a nice little sizzle. Sizzle is good, thick smoke is bad. You might have to press down a bit with a spatula so that the middle toasts on the bottom of the pan. Keep at it until all of your muffins are a nice golden brown toasty colour and you can feel a little hardened layer on them. I did actually do a trial run of this versus normal toasting, and this tasted and looked far superior. So I'm going to pull that turkey out and lay it out on a plate to cool with some paper towel to soak up any excess fat, and then I'm going to preheat the oven to about 200 degrees. Next I'm going to crack 7 eggs into a bowl, and if my maths serves me well, that is roughly 1 egg per muffin. I'm also going to add a little drop of egg whites because protein, but obviously this is optional, and I would advise against using too many egg whites, because if your ratios are skewed too far towards the egg whites end of the spectrum, it will go a little bit elasticy when you freeze and defrost it, and obviously that's not ideal. So I'm also going to add a little drop of whole milk just because I feel like we can fit more animal products into this. Salt and pepper are optional. I went with pepper but no salt because I think it's going to be salty enough with the bacon. So I'm going to beat these together until they are fully mixed, because I'm going to be aiming to keep the calories and macros as consistent as possible, which means I can't have like all yolk one day and all white the next day. You got to have them even ratios, mate. Next I'm using some 1 calorie spray and turning it into 20 calorie spray by spraying it 20 times into some non-stick trays / oven dish things. I could put all of the eggs into one, but I don't want it to be too deep or it's going to take too long to cook in the oven, and also have a higher risk of cooking unevenly, and I don't want to overcook this egg if I can help it. Next, the egg is going to go into the oven, and just keep an eye on it. Mine took about 12 minutes, but as I say, you really don't want to overcook it, so open the oven and give it a little stab with a knife to check if it's done now and again, and when it is, we'll take it out, obviously. And now it is time to build these muffins. So I'm going to go with 1 slice of turkey bacon on the bottom of each muffin half, and then I'm going to try my best to divide the eggs into equal strips. I could have cut out rounds using something round like a glass, but then you're going to end up either wasting some egg or having all of this cut off egg that you have to somehow account for in the macros. So I just went with strips and folded them over on themselves. After that, it was time for the top layer of turkey bacon, and then finally the top half of the muffin. Now they're done, just leave them to cool before wrapping up to store. I'm keeping shit simple with some grease-proof paper and an elastic band. So I'm just cutting strips off the roll and reminiscing on my time as a McDonald's employee. Kind of funny how now I'm basically doing the exact same shit, just in a very different context. Anyway, these are gonna freeze fine like they are. So I would probably keep whatever you're gonna eat in the next couple of days in the fridge and all the others in the freezer. I'm actually just pretending to put these in the freezer because I'm actually gonna nail about 5 in a row shortly after the camera turns off. When you've taken them out and allowed them to defrost, if they were in the freezer, just remove the elastic band. I'm not sure if that's necessary, I just didn't want to microwave one and turn this into a science experiment. And microwave them in the wrapper for about a minute. If you're feeling like there isn't enough animal, you can add a cheese slice before microwaving. I did it. I would say it was worth it. It was pretty nice. Looks pretty appetizing too, to be honest, doesn't it? Give it a little pat on the head. And that's it. I'm out, people. Like my shit. Subscribe to my shit. Let me know in the comments if you have ideas for different types of meal prep videos. All that kind of stuff. Let's have great conversations about food. See you later.
Delaney is my hero.